Hello again, officer.
Hello again, monsieur.
What do you think of the juggler?
Ah, he is excellent, most watchable.
But he's blocking the thoroughfare and obstructing traffic.
So, he is amusing. The traffic isn't. If he wants to block it, who am I to say no?
You're a cop.
Ah, oui. So I am. Ah, well.
Does this red nose mean anything to you?
Ah, you are a clown.
Do I look like a clown?
No, although you juggle like one. Now, if I'd known you were a clown, it would have been amusing and not a humiliation for you.
What do you mean?
Who ever heard of a plain-clothes clown?
He had a point. So you're saying that if I juggle badly with a red nose, I'd be the king of comedy. But if I juggle badly without it,
You look like a pathetic loon. Oui, monsieur, you have it.
so you're not going to do anything about this guy.
No.
He probably doesn't even have a license.
Ah, a license. This I had not considered.
So what are you going to do?
The instant I return to the station, I shall check.
Return to the station? Why not just ask him?
And spoil his concentration? What kind of a barbarian do you take me for?
Does this red nose mean anything to you?
No.
Have you seen this man before?
No. Who is it?
I believe him to be an international assassin.
Oh,
Is that all you can say? Oh,
I did wonder if I should say that I believe you to be an international paranoiac, but it didn't seem polite.
I'll see you around.
Oui, monsieur. I'll be there.
Hi again.
Oui? What is it this time?
Look, a red nose.
Oh, you say, whoop-de-doo.
Hi again.
Oui? What is it this time?
I'd like to have another try at juggling, please.
You have gone on a crash course, perhaps.
No, I just had an insight into presentation.
Huh?
Allow me to demonstrate. The balls, please.
If you insist on completing your humiliation, monsieur.
Okay, now for my secret weapon. The juggler was speechless with rage. You could have mistaken him for a mime. And without a word, he collected his balls and left in a fury. Hey, you forgot one of your balls. Hey! But he didn't hear. Better still, deprived of his entertainment, the gendarme decided maybe he ought to do some policing for a change. I had no desire to talk to the crowd. It was the glass the gendarme had left behind. There was no need to take the wine glass. In French, English, and German it read, "In 1312, Pope Clement V dissolved the knightly order of the Templars and excommunicated its members on charges of heresy. In the following 2 years, many of the knights were hanged on this site. Their Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, was burnt at the stake on an island in the Seine." If I wanted to get deeper into these catacombs, I was going to have to get onto that path. If the near edge hadn't crumbled away, I could have jumped it easily. Now, I wasn't so sure. There was a handle in the boat that fed out chain with a hook on the end. A weird little boat lay tied up. I guess they used it to get maintenance crews around. Either that or the Phantom of the Opera was somewhere near. There were 3 arches, each with an inscription. There were 3 arches, each with an inscription. Hey, that's hollow! It was time for some brutal destruction. I'd poked a hole in an historical site. If any archaeologists came by, they'd lynch me for this. Close up, I could see the plaster was thinner where I'd broken through, and behind it were some cogs and a lever. Here goes. Hey, cool! I'd pulled the lever right over. The door mechanism was trashed. Boy, had I ever made a mess of that door. I could hear voices from the lit area. This was it. The conspiracy was revealed. Okay, nobody move. I'm making a citizen's arrest. At last, I had them. I could see the fear in their eyes as their little scheme came to pieces. You're all going away for a very long time. And you can just drop those guns. You're impressing nobody.
In the beginning was the end.
An end wrought by our enemies began our darkness.
In the end will be a beginning.
An end to our enemies heralds our new day.
Report. The military establishments are in flux. The end of the Cold War has left them with no clear goal and as obvious targets for budgetary cuts. We have successfully promoted a sense of betrayal in the upper echelons. They feel that the politicians have cast them adrift. The pattern is emerging. Our time is now.
Good. Mademoiselle?
Governments are giving the corporations more respect than their own citizens. A groundswell of dissatisfaction and dissidence is growing. The corporations are becoming too large and complex for their own executives to control them. A blind belief in market forces is accelerating this trend the world over. The pattern is emerging. Our time is now.
The global population's belief in those that govern it has never been lower. We have inculcated a sense of immediacy and action over forethought and planning in all the major governments. They are acting on hasty decisions that cannot be completed or revoked without appearing foolish. The pattern is emerging. Our time is now.
Excellent. The tired old governments are dying a slow death from their own incompetence and our machinations. The millennium is almost upon us, and everything is in place for the rise of our new order. Almost. Professor, where is the broken sword?
As we discussed last time, with the loss of the manuscript, our search is as a corollary hindered.
And as discussed last time, you have been furnished with a dramatically increased budget. What have you been doing with our money, Professor?
We are working on the principle that the Templars, that is to say, our predecessors,
Hold on. These are the Templars?
must have left a trail when they were hiding the clues to the sword of Baphomet's location. I have a small army of historians and archaeologists ferreting out that trail.
I trust these historians and archaeologists are more trustworthy than your friend Pegram.
Pegram was loyal. He tried to protect the Lochmarn gem when the Hashashin came near.
And failed. And don't call that Syrian maniac the Hashashin. He's an assassin. Plain and simple.
That's not what he believes. He actually thinks.
Silence! Do I have to remind you that we have a sacred duty? A trust. When Philippe attempted to destroy the Order, we lost the sword and our power with it. Now we have the opportunity to reforge it. But time is short. We need results, not petty bickering, not excuses. Now, Professor Baphomet.
Yes, of course. My apologies. We will find Baphomet and the sword, manuscript or no. We have already found another element, actually within Paris.
Excellent. What is it?
Well, we're not exactly sure at present.
Ha!
But I have my best people working on it. You would do well not to criticize others, Eklund. At least I have not murdered one of our own.
Of course. That guy was the bogus doctor in the hospital.
Marquet was a liability. Eklund dealt with him on my orders.
I beg your pardon, Grandmaster. I did not mean to.
Have you any good news for us, Professor?
We already know 3 of the elements. We know that Klausner had obtained the lens before he vanished.
Where was he?
Syria. We know that he arrived, but after that, nothing.
The assassin.
I fear so. It's a shame. Klausner was a good operative.
This will be our last meeting in person until we locate the Sword of Baphomet. I hope that I don't need to emphasize the importance of finding it. Without it, our endeavors come to nothing. With the sword reforged, we will have the power to sweep the stage of all opposition. The new millennium will belong to us. The next time that we meet, it will be to become the princes of this world!
On the circle's circumference were the Templar seal and two Latin phrases. Non omnis moriar and clarior e tenebris. I shall not die completely, the brighter from the darkness. In the middle of the circle was a stump of stone, a shaft of daylight from the world above lancing down to touch it. The light, falling from above, struck the gem and scattered in 5 neat rays, and each ray picked out a letter. Starting from the seal, I could read M-A-R-I-B, Marib. Now all I had to do was figure out what the heck that meant. Nico, I've seen them.
Who?
The Templars. I spied on their meeting in the catacombs.
And you saw the Knights Templar?
I saw a bunch of guys masquerading as Templars. They're after something called the Sword of Baphomet. The bogus doctor was there, the guy who killed Marquet. The manuscript is the key, just as we thought. It shows the way to the broken sword, whatever that is.
And how does the assassin fit into all this?
He's out to stop them. These Neo-Templars, they're men and women in influential positions. Don't you see? Plantar was one of them. The assassin killed him for the manuscript, to stop them finding the sword.
But now we have got the manuscript.
Yes.
So, how does he hope to find the sword?
I don't know. They said something about a lens and a guy called Klausner who's gone to Syria, but they didn't seem to realize the significance of the very site of their meeting. You see, after they'd gone, I discovered a stone pedestal and a carved inscription. I set up the gem on the tripod, directly below a beam of light. The gem split the beam and lit the letters M-A-R-I-B.
Marib is a village in Syria.
Then the Neo-Templars are ahead of us. Klausner beat me to it.
You're not thinking of going there yourself, are you?
Why not?
These guys are crazy and dangerous. That reminds me, you should leave the gem here.
Okay, what about the tripod?
I'll send it back to Andre, anonymously.
Hey, Nico, shake hands with me.
No chance, Buster.
Would you like this juggling ball?
Have you been drinking, George?
No, why?
Because you're talking crap.
Let's take another look at the manuscript. That's the tripod we borrowed from the museum. That's the gem that Pegram found in Lochmarn. Do you think I should go to Marib?
Syria is a long way, George.
Excuse me.
Not so fast. I'd like your personal details, please.
Huh? What for?
In the event of an accident, it would help us to know where to send the body.
Look, is this really necessary? I came in here to talk to Rosso.
Why did you not say?
Have you had any reports concerning a suspicious clown?
Why, yes. There was a fracas only this morning. 3 arrests for public disorder.
And you say there was a clown involved?
A clown and a particularly offensive piece of sculpture with balloons. Are you in any way involved with the reprobate, monsieur?
No, not me. May I see Inspector Rosso?
I'm sorry, but he gave me orders not to disturb him, monsieur.
Where's Sergeant Moo?
Sergeant Moo? You haven't heard?
Heard what? Has something happened to him?
Moo is dead.
You're kidding.
No, monsieur.
That's... How? Why?
The death of a policeman never comes as a surprise, but always as a shock.
But Sergeant Moo? He was so...
I know. He was as flexible as a riot baton. Yet his heart was as warm as a freshly extracted urine sample.
I'd like to shake you by the hand.
Do you want to be arrested for assaulting a policeman?
Huh?
I noticed the shake and shock buzzer concealed in your hand.
Do you recognize the man in this photograph?
No, monsieur, I do not. I have no memory for faces.
I found this red nose near the Café de la Chandelle Verte.
A clown's nose?
That's right. The guy who wore this is a savage killer.
If you say so, monsieur.
Don't you want to look at this nose?
Not particularly, monsieur.
Are you familiar with the Club Alamut?
No, monsieur.
Are you certain you don't know this man?
Oui, monsieur.
Do you know anything about Rosso's psychic techniques?
I cannot comment on my superior's methods. All I will say is that Inspector Rosso has an impressive record.
He's a good detective?
One of the best. He's a man of honor, with a fine sense of duty.
You wouldn't say he was... a screwball?
Not to his face, monsieur.
What do you make of this?
It's a juggler's ball.
I found this tissue.
What the hell is that?
It's evidence.
Evidence of what? Mayonnaise smuggling?
The sticky stuff is grease paint.
Ah, and that is supposed to make me happy, is it? I suggest you think long and hard about what you are doing with your life, monsieur.
Thanks for your help, officer. Hi, Andre.
Hello, Georgie.
What's with the long face?
Haven't you heard? The tripod was stolen.
No kidding.
I just don't get it. So many other treasures, and the thieves choose the tripod.
A modern-day alchemist, perhaps?
Who knows? There's no shortage of crazies in Paris. Hey, I visited Nicole's apartment.
Yeah, she told me you came by.
Ooh, quite a fine Georgie boy. I didn't expect anything quite so sexy.
I hope you're referring to the manuscript.
Oui, of course.
What did you make of the manuscript?
It dates from the time of the Crusades.
We guessed that from the Templar seal.
It's a story and pictures like a modern-day comic book.
What story does the manuscript tell?
I don't know. It was probably produced for the tourist market.
Tourists?
Oh, oui, pilgrims in their thousands on their way to Jerusalem. The tourist trade is nothing new, you know. It's been around for centuries. Ever since Joshua made a packet selling souvenir bricks from the walls of Jericho.
Have you deciphered any of the images on the manuscript?
There's very little I can be sure about. The slang of the bull could be a reference to Mithras.
Who's he?
A Persian god, almost as popular as Christ at one time. The only thing I can be sure of is the knight. He's Spanish.
How can you tell that?
The writing on the shield, the reference to Ave Maria. No self-respecting knight from Northern Europe would have borne a coat of arms like that.
Can you identify the knight's coat of arms?
I already did, Georgie. He's a member of the De Vasconcelos family from the Costa Calida.
Were they famous?
No, they're not mentioned after the 15th century.
Oh.
The spotlight of history moved on. They're probably long dead.
Do you think the manuscript could be the map to the Templar treasure?
Frankly, no. That's too far-fetched. The manuscript is interesting enough and a rare find, but that's all.
Wouldn't it be terrific if it was a map, though? The treasure of the Knights Templar.
A romantic notion, Georgie, but extremely improbable.
Thanks for your help, Andre.
You're welcome.
Hi, is this the De Vasconcelos house?
Who wants to know?
I could tell the old coot was going to be trouble. My name's George Stobart. I was wondering whether...
The house is not open to the public.
This is the De Vasconcelos house.
And what business is that of yours, senor?
Look, all I want is to speak to the head of the household.
There is no household. Only the Countess and myself.
Would you like to shake hands?
I do not think so, senor.
What do you know about the Templars?
Who wants to know?
Are you angling for a bribe or something?
You have nothing that I want, senor, except the pleasure of your absence.
The guy was obviously protecting the Countess against the whole world. But why? Tell me about the Countess de Vasconcelos.
She doesn't receive guests. That's all you need to know.
You don't even know what I have to talk to her about.
She hasn't won the lottery, has she?
No, she hasn't won the lottery.
A more cunning man might have claimed that she had.
Oh yeah? They might have, might they?
And that more cunning man would have been kicked off the premises. The Countess doesn't do the lottery.
Do you recognize this man?
No,
Do you recognize this matchbook?
I don't smoke.
This lab pass mean anything to you?
Nothing.
Okay. Well, I'll see you around.
Adios. Hey, you.
Yeah? What is it?
You would not like it if people just wandered into your home, would you?
Well, no, I guess not.
Then show a little consideration.
Okay. Sorry. The hose ran from some sort of utility room all the way to the lawn.
My hose has stopped.
Yeah?
See, my hose never stops.
Well, I'm sorry to hear it. It's always sad when an old tradition comes to an end.
Did you have anything to do with it? See, you.
Well, I'm shocked. I'm mortified. How could you think such a thing?
Very easily, senor. Very easily. I'm going to find out why my hose has stopped. And that means going into the house. You are not, absolutely not, to go in the house. If you do go in the house, I will set the dogs on you.
I love suits of armor. Who doesn't? I hid behind the armor and waited for developments.
Hey, you. I know you are there, American. All right, you dogs. I'm coming.
A big chandelier, studded with plain white candles. Probably pretty impressive when all lit up. And it must keep the moth population down.
Madre Dios, who are you?
My name's George Stobart. I'm sorry to burst in like this.
You must leave at once. You're not wanted here.
Please, if you'd just listen a minute.
Very well. State your business, Senor Stobart.
There's been a series of murders, part of some conspiracy. Anyway, the trail led me here.
Here? There is nothing for the outside world here.
Over 600 years ago there was.
What do you mean?
This whole thing ties in somehow with the Knights Templar.
The Knights Templar are dust.
They had a secret that was so important, they went to a lot of trouble to hide it.
I do not see what this has to do with my family.
Your family had a strong connection with the Templars, right? I believe that they've planted some clues here.
Why should I believe a complete stranger who barges into my home?
Just let me have a look around. If I find nothing...
You'll be spending the night at the police station. Very well. Please, sit down.
Thank you. I know your family is involved with the Templars, but I don't know how.
You should be asking how my family were involved, Senor Stobart. The Templars ceased to exist centuries ago, and as for the De Vasconcelos, the line dies with me.
I'm sorry.
Don't be.
Do you recognize this man?
No, I have never seen him before in my life. Who is he?
I've got a couple of names for him, but they're probably false. He's the killer.
No, his face is utterly unfamiliar.
Good. At least he hasn't been here. Yet. Would you like to shake hands?
A formal bow will suffice.
Does this matchbook mean anything to you?
Club Alamut. Not an establishment that I am familiar with, a young man.
Okay, whatever happened almost 700 years ago. So, if the Templars left any clues, they're going to be in stuff that dates back to the early 14th century.
Obviously.
So, what do you have around here that's early medieval?
Early medieval. Let me think. Well, the house is relatively modern, a scant 3 centuries old. Or, of course, the chess set.
That chess set is over 600 years old? It must be worth a fortune.
Indeed it is. Not that I would part with it, of course.
No, I wouldn't either. That's the sort of thing that gets handed down to your children. Sorry.
Its value is less than you might think. The set is not complete. One of the pieces is a modern replacement. As to the original, it was lost a long time ago.
Nobody has any idea where it is?
No. The children had it when they were taken.
Children? What children?
All in good time, Senor Stobart.
May I examine the chess set?
Certainly. But do not move any of the pieces.
Okay, thanks. Close up, the modern piece stood out like a sore thumb. There was something else odd about the set. All of the original pieces had irregular bases.
My lady, I have to warn you, there's a... You! Why, I feed you to the dogs.
Lopez, what have I told you about feeding intruders to the dogs?
But, my lady...
Never without my permission. Senor Stobart, if I find that you're wasting my time, you will be fed to the dogs. Now, I want to show you something interesting. Follow me. Lopez, unlock the door, por favor. This is the only remaining structure on the estate contemporary with the Templars.
Nice. What is it, a summer house?
A mausoleum, Senor Stobart.
Oh.
Come with me.
Hey, senor.
Yeah?
I do not know what you have told my lady to be shown these favors, but I do not trust you.
You've got nothing to worry about. Aren't you coming in?
No, the dead do not interest me. My garden is a living thing. I will be there.
Wow, this is old.
It was constructed in the 13th century as the final resting place for the De Vasconcelos Templars.
It's well maintained.
These are my ancestors, and they deserve respect. I come here at least once a week to say a prayer for them.
Mind if I have a look around?
By all means.
The mausoleum contained 5 tombs for 5 of the Knights Templar, man-size in marble. Hanging from the ceiling was a huge yellowed candle. It looked really old and had never been lit. It was a rod with a cone and a hook on the end. I guessed it was for snuffing out the big candle in the chandelier. A big statuette of the Virgin Mary kept an eye on the place. It was too delicate to move. In front of the shrine was a lectern with a Bible on it. On removing the Bible, I found a pattern on the lectern top. Hey, it's a checkerboard! Close up, I could see that the pattern was made up of glass squares over a checkerboard pattern. Some of the squares had little jagged holes in the middle. The lectern top had a pattern of glass squares on it. Close up, I could see that the pattern was made up of glass squares over a checkerboard. Some of the squares. May I ask you something?
You may ask.
Is the Virgin Mary really the right person to be sharing a mausoleum with 5 knights?
You are showing your ignorance, Senor Stobart. The Templars were dedicated to the Virgin Mary.
That's a big candle. Where would you buy a thing like that from?
You could not. It is an antique, unique to my knowledge.
Just how old is it?
It dates from the Middle Ages, when the Moors controlled Spain. The candle was to be lit as a signal to the estate workers if the Moors attacked.
Who exactly are these people?
My ancestors. These 5 men were all members of the Templars.
5 ancestors in the order. You must be very proud.
Not 5, 6.
Where's the 6th knight?
He was lost to us.
You lost an ancestor?
It is a family matter. It can have no relevance.
Well, it's connected with the curse of the De Vasconcelos, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I hope you will honor my desire not to talk about it.
Okay, well, I'll leave it for now. You certainly know your history.
What's your opinion of the Templars, Senor Stobart?
The Templars? Well, they seem no worse than a lot of the knightly orders.
You are mistaken. Compared to the simpering politicians of the Hospitallers or the brutish Teutonics, the Knights Templar were the embodiment of chivalry. The filthy, money-grabbing French king and his pet pope did a great wrong. A bane settled upon my family at the whim of that self-seeking tyrant.
It was all a long time ago.
Some things don't die. Injustice is one of them.
What's the story with the glass chessboard?
Glass chessboard. Oh, the pattern on the lectern, purely decorative, I'm sure.
There are pieces of glass missing from it.
Oh, it has been like that since I was a girl.
The gaps in the glass chessboard look awfully deliberate.
No, it is ridiculous. What possible significance can it have?
It's part of a chessboard, and the gaps are for...
Senor Stobart, you cannot mean...
This place was built for the Templars. Your chess set is as old as the Templars. It's kind of suggestive, isn't it? I think this must be it. This is what the manuscript is pointing to.
This is extraordinary. Am I to understand that the Templars left a puzzle here? And in all of this time we failed to realize that there was a puzzle?
It was wonderful to watch the Countess change before my eyes.
Right. Well, no time for wallowing in self-pity, eh, Senor Stobart? This mystery has had a good long run, but it ends here and now.
All those years of fatalism were falling away from her.
Lopez! Lopez! Put that hold down and listen! Go to the house and get my chess set! Yes! The old chess set! Oh, damn the game! Now, hurry! My, this is exciting, is it not?
Don't get too excited. This could be a blind alley.
Oh, I do not believe that for a moment.
It's good to see you happy.
Happy? You know, I think I am.
While we're waiting, I'd really like to know what happened here. I mean, the curse and everything?
It all began at the time of the dissolution of the Templars. Don Carlos had already left their ranks to become a scholar.
Don Carlos, is he the guy who went missing?
Si, but he had reckoned without the local bishop. Their bishop envied us our lands and determined to use the papal edict as an excuse to destroy us. Don Carlos was on one of his scholarly journeys when the Inquisition arrived. When Don Carlos returned, it was to find his loyal manservant slain and his children gone.
They took the kids? But why?
Oh, we will never know. The bishop denied all knowledge of the children's disappearance. But witnesses had seen his men kill the servant who had been charged to protect them.
What happened to Don Carlos?
He swore he'd find his children if he had to go to the edge of the world. He put on his armor and took up his sword and shield and rode out alone. He was never seen again. Lopez, you have the pieces.
Si, my lady, as you asked.
Por favor, Senor Stobart, would you be so kind?
My lady.
Calm yourself, Lopez. I believe Senor Stobart's motives are pure.
Very well, my lady. My lady seems to trust you.
But you don't.
No, senor.
It fits, Senor Stobart. It fits.
Working quickly, I found which pieces went into which holes.
Senor Stobart, look!
What is that? It's not It's not the Holy Grail, is it?
No, Senor Stobach. It is the communion chalice of the De Vasconcelos, missing for almost 700 years.
Wow. Well, go on.
I cannot. I can hardly believe it is real.
Go ahead. Live a little.
Are you sure? This is your moment of triumph, Senor Stobach.
Sure, I'm sure. The possibility of death traps only occurred to me a few days later.
So the curse of the De Vasconcelos is lifted?
Oh no, the Countess was thrilled to find the lost chalice. But there's still the riddle of the missing knight.
Well, you can forget about that now and get back to finding the Templar's secret.
Actually, I promised the Countess I'd find Don Carlos.
You what?
I can explain everything.
You have got the odds for a withered old Spanish aristocrat?
The Countess entrusted me with the chalice and the quest for her ancestor's tomb.
You're as crazy as she is. Haven't you got enough problems? Khan and the Templars?
It's all part of the same thing. The chalice is important, I'm sure. The manuscript pointed us to the knight, and I have to find him.
What then?
I don't know. But when the knight and the chalice are reunited, maybe I will. This is the chalice I discovered in Spain.
I still can't figure out why the Countess gave it to you. After losing it for all those years, she simply gave it away to a total stranger? She's one prawn short of a paella.
The Countess is a fine lady. You shouldn't compare her with seafood.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's something going on between you and that Countess.
Are you serious? She's old enough to be my grandmother. Did I show you the chalice?
Yes, George, you did.
Do you think I should go to Marib?
3 years a long way, George.
Hi, it's me again.
Again?
Yes, I spoke to you earlier.
But of course. It is Monsieur Hardy.
Stobart. George Stobart. Do you know anything about medieval communion cups?
No, monsieur. I was a duffer at school when it came to history.
Thanks for your help, officer.